Hello and welcome. My name's Ryan Johnson, and this is the SALTcast. Today, I have a guest that I've been trying to get on with me for a long time. We've had a lot of mix-ups, but that is Jared Shum with Pattern. Jared, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I am so grateful you're on with me. I actually kind of have a funny story about Pattern. I was on Alibaba. I'm
Hmm.
sure you've heard of Alibaba.
Nice.
And I'm looking to purchase some of those video mailers. So there's got like a 7-inch screen on there, so we can put a video on there and send them to potential clients that we would like. And I found this one where it was a box. It was a big box, and you open the lid, and there's a video. You can play it. Well, their demonstration video was Pattern. It had Pattern's logo, Pattern on the top of the box, on the side. I was like, whoa. I was like, maybe Pattern orders these, And I was like, that would be so cool. But I was just so surprised. It's like, whoa, company in China using Pattern as
As an
showing you
example.
guys off.
Yeah, we use those. We use them as partner boxes. So when you open it, it gives you a quick video about kind of what our company's about, how it started, and how we help out other people. And then it has some pattern swag in it. And the cool thing about that is all the swag that's in there is from a client of ours. So we have some like yoga
Oh,
tea in there. We have some skull candy headphones in there. We have some socks in there, along with some other stuff that's in there. And it's a really cool way to not just get pattern out there, but also kind of celebrate our client successes as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, I think that's such a genius idea and something I'm kind of pushing to do here because we have such awesome clients that I'd love to showcase. But this is not about us and Pizer Johnson. I was hoping that Jared, you can kind of introduce yourself, what you like to do, where you're from, how you got into Pattern, and then we can get into kind of what Pattern does and things of that matter.
Yeah, of course. So my background is kind of typical of any kid that grew up in the Bay Area. So I was born and raised in Bay Area, California. Did my undergrad is in economics and finance, and so I knew that I was wanting to go into that sector when I was first getting into my career. So my first internship was at Goldman, and I did a little bit of work with
Oh,
SAP as well. And the more that I was in those industries, the more that I realized that like the specific work and the knowledge required was stuff that I enjoyed, but the atmosphere, at least at the companies that I was at, wasn't the culture that I was type of looking for. And so then I
yeah.
moved to something adjacent. I was in fintech and I was also in consulting before coming to Pattern. And right when I was about to switch to a different firm in San Francisco, Pattern reached out and was like, "Hey, can we talk to you? We'd love to consider you for XYZ position." And I said, "Sure," but I've already almost like answered, I've already almost like said yes to this other company, and to respect them as well, their time. Like I'm not going to delay my timeline with them. So you guys got to move fast. And that was kind of one of the very first things that really impressed me about Pattern was that even though I wasn't a part of their team yet, they were kind of willing to bend over backwards for me, and
Oh,
something that
yeah.
I've continued to see here at Pattern. One of our core values is being partner obsessed, and that just that doesn't just mean our brand partners, but also like our coworkers. So we're partner obsessed, and meaning that we want to make sure that everyone is set up for the best possible outcome.
Yeah. I think more and more, as this new generation comes up, my generation, that's the culture and how you're treated is a big deal, and that can often sway your decisions and when deciding what career path to take. Um,
I agree. I think also when you're in a customer facing position or a client facing position, it really does come through if you enjoy your job, enjoy your
yeah,
workplace or not. Because you can be really good at your job on paper, but like not pleasant to be around. And so
that's
that's something
true.
that's very important for us is our relationship with our brands.
Yeah, no, that is awesome, and I think that's a good segue into kind of what Pattern does. Like, who's your client base,
Mhm.
and where did kind of Pattern start, and where you guys are at now?
Yeah, so Pattern is a global e-commerce accelerator. Our client base are brands that are already established, so we don't do a ton of launches. that are wanting to strengthen and expand their presence on online marketplaces and other digital channels, whether that's domestically or international. We've started out in 2013. Our two founders started, and it was just kind of in their home. And our CEO, Dave Wright, he has like a data science, data analyst background, and he realized that there was kind of this data proponent of selling on Amazon and selling on marketplaces that other people didn't quite tap into. And so he did that and started really pursuing that line of thinking. And so we started out as iServe. So if anyone sees our store on Amazon, then they'll see it's under iServe. And then we rebranded to Pattern in 2017 when we acquired our international branch, which is Practicology, and now that's our Pattern Global. And so we're all over the United States, but also all over the globe. So our headquarter office is in Lehi, Utah. In Europe, we're in London and Munich. We're in the Middle East in Dubai. Asia Pacific, which is my region, we have 5 offices out there, and then we also have 2 offices in Australia. So we've got a little bit of everything.
That's really cool. Now, our specialty is sales tax, and a lot of our clients and people that reach out that are selling internationally are trying to get into the U.S. market, and there's quite a bit they have to do, and I can see where your guys' kind of expertise is needed, because it's hard for someone internationally that are selling in their home country than to get into the U.S., because the U.S. is such a huge market, and then have to comply to the rules. And so how do you guys help your clients?
Yeah, so international can mean a lot of things for a lot of different people. Like our clients that are based in China or based abroad, domestic for them is in China, and international is the United States, and then vice versa. And so we help enable our brand partners internationally by offering first a team that is hybrid in both culture and backgrounds from a professional standpoint. There's one part of selling and buying that a lot of people don't consider when entering another marketplace is what is the consumer culture. How do they buy? What kind of marketplaces do they use? Amazon US is the biggest marketplace in the United States, but it's not the biggest marketplace in China. That'd be Tmall, which is an Alibaba company, as you mentioned earlier. And the social media selling in China is a lot more prevalent than the United States, even though the United States has been starting to ramp that up in the past couple of years. And so my advice and the way that we also consult our brand partners is first, like, what are your goals? Like, are you just wanting to expand because you just want to make more revenue? Or do you think that your product or service is applicable in this consumer market? There are a lot of products that are good internationally in certain continents and certain countries, but not others, just given, the consumer market. And so first have, your why. Why are you wanting to expand outside of expanding your revenue? Also, what are you willing to invest in that? Growing any part of your business is going to take some investment, both from the person that you're partnered with, whether it's Pattern, and then also your own brand. And so what are you willing to invest to make this happen? Is your why important enough to invest the time and resources to make that why happen? And then third, make sure that your partner is aligned with those things. So make sure, if like at Pattern, we start with that, and we want to make sure that their goals are aligned with our model. And if it's not, we tell them pretty early on, because we want to be as transparent as possible. And so those are kind of like the 3 things that I would tell anyone that's going into any international marketplace, no matter what country it's in.
That's really cool, because it's different. Every country is different on how, what the market looks like. And so you guys are just like this massive consumer of data. And so you guys are able to consult with your brand partners to kind of help them grow in that specific market, because the market in the US is totally different than China or Europe and things like that. That's really neat.
And then also a common thing in any marketplace is like the advantage, and something that's exciting can also be super intimidating, is the fact that the e-commerce scene is shifting so rapidly that e-commerce executives are having trouble keeping up with that pace while also scaling their internal enterprise. And so once you've gotten to a certain scale, and this is why we usually work with brands that are already established, once you get to a certain scale, it's actually worth it to contract out or to partner with someone like Pattern. Our team every day is working on something that is directly tied to your guys' success. So that's another thing is that you have to consider is, is your partner relevant in the area that you're going to? And also, do they have the experience and understand that they need to be able to pivot and adjust on a dime because your success depends on that?
Right. I think that's a great strategy, because when, that's kind of how we pitch our services too is, think of all the different changes of the laws and changes of how the marketplace is, it changes drastically, in a short period of time. And so we kind of pitch them, it's like, let us handle the sales tax so you can do what you do best. Mm-hmm. And that is, growing your product and developing your product and growing your company and your brand. And, let us take this part of it that we're really good at so you can excel at what you're really great at. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great strategy. Do you have like a common success story, that you could share with us, kind of what, a success story would look like, when someone implements Pattern or partners with Pattern?
Yeah, so one of the brands that I mentioned earlier that's featured in our partner box and our potential partner box is Yogi Tea. And traditionally, a lot of people don't consider like tea to be an e-commerce friendly or an e-commerce, like no one kind of thinks on in their mindset like, oh, I have to buy some more tea. I'm going to hop on, XYZ marketplace to do that. Usually they're shopping for other things. But as the obviously the e-commerce scene is shifting, people's consumer habits also shift, and so they offer over 40 varieties of teas and in herbal, green, black categories. But the problem that they had is that they had an abundance of unauthorized seller activity, which caused like poor customer experience, loss of quality control, and they just weren't able to uphold the brand standards because it wasn't them that was selling it. And so the way that Pattern helped them is our compliance monitoring software, which is called Predict. It's a proprietary software that our software engineers made internally, and it's not an external tool, and it's free for all of our brand partners. Predict identified unauthorized sellers and employed rules-based advertising tools. And then we connected Yogi to legal counsel for assistance in removing unauthorized sellers. Pattern is partnered with a specific legal firm, and that's also included in the cost of doing business with Pattern, so it's not an additional cost. And then finally, they were assigned a personal brand manager that became an extension of kind of Yogi's team. Like, we see them as the internal representatives, and their job is to represent Yogi or whatever brand they are, not Pattern. And they help them enhance the customer experience, increase sales volume, and simplify supply chain, which allowed Yogi to kind of move strategic company employees to other key business objectives. And then from a timeline perspective, within 2 months of the launch, Yogi Tea bundles ranked in the top 10 search results when searching for like broad terms like tea, herbal tea, and tea variety pack, which on Amazon, those broad terms like are very hard to pin down. You need to normally have a pretty specific search to get to an unbranded path to get to your listing. And then the quick sales growth led to bundles being featured on Amazon's like hot new release page, and was also in the top 10 new releases. So, and that was just in the first 2 months of our partnership. So,
wow, that's incredible. Jared, I want to say thank you so much for being on today. Now, where can our listeners find Pattern?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's pretty easy, pattern.com. If they want to talk with anyone directly, they can scroll to the bottom or go to the Contact Us at the top of the homepage. We have a lot of articles and materials and valuable things. We also have a tool on there that I won't expand on here. I'll let listeners kind of like find that for themselves. It's a digital shelf tool, and it's really useful, and it's free for anyone to use. And then if they wanted to reach out to me directly, and I can kind of redirect them to where they want based off of their needs, like my email is just jared.shum@pattern.com.
Awesome. Well, Jared, thank you so much for being on with me today and taking time out of your day. And we hope to see you on another one.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.